Employers in the area, companies in the area, we've got to figure out from a recruitment standpoint, how do we do something different? Our great friend Albert Einstein there says insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If we continue our same recruiting strategies, we're probably going to get the same results, and we're going to be challenged to get into that 2.4% population that's unemployed. Next slide, please. So one of the things we've done here at Rutherford Works is we're trying to figure out pools of people to help our local employers fill in some of their openings, some of their entry-level openings. I'm not going to go through this entire chart because it's showing a lot of different pools of people that aren't really tied to today's subject. But I do want to drop down to our work with our local school systems and then show you one of the things we do from a work-based learning standpoint. If you look in the lower corner, the blue graph in the lower corner of the screen, THEC, Tennessee Higher Education Commission, just 2 weeks ago came out with a study to where they go out and they survey seniors and they say, are you going to go to a post-secondary or not? It's the chart says college going rate, but that includes anything all the way down to a TCAT, 13-month certification, Motlow, 2-year associate degree, or 4-year out of an MTSU. 2017, we had 66% of our seniors that were saying, yes, I'm going to do some form of post-secondary. Look where it dropped off to last year. We're all the way down to 55% is attending some form of post-secondary. So what are the other 45% doing? One of the things we want to do today is share with you to capture some of those students that are coming out of our high schools before they graduate, and they're part of that 45% figuring out what they're trying to do. Hopefully if you guys as employers can engage them early and then even pull them into your companies, you can go ahead and make that engagement, and they already learn about your company and they're interested straight after graduation, and they become a full-time employee for you. Next slide. I believe we're going to transition on that. So today we have 2 employers that have the work-based learning program going within their company, and we want them to share their experiences, their pros and even their cons if they want to tell them too, so you as employers can learn about it. And then if you want to put this in your company, you know who to reach out to learn more. So our first employer, we're going to transition to Miss Mary Beth Prince. She's the Human Resources Manager at Ingram Content Group. So Mary Beth, I will turn it over to you.
Hey, Mary Beth, you're muted.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm the HR manager with Ingram Content Group in Laverne, Tennessee. Thank you for your time today. I'm going to go over a few key points. I've been involved with Rutherford Works since 2019. I've been the HR manager here at the distribution center for a little over a year. I've been with Ingram 4 years. And I'm just going to talk through our experience with hiring the high school students. As you probably know, like a lot of companies and like Greg was describing, we have had the challenges of staffing, especially after COVID, which I know several companies have experienced as well. We have been hiring, fortunately, we have been hiring high school students since 2018. And I'm going to go over a little bit of our history. Like Greg said, the pros, the cons of that hiring process. So we'll get started. The first slide I just described, we started hiring high schoolers in 2018. And our process was really just to get started. That was where the most important step. We went to the local high schools, and at the time there was not associates there to help us with the work-based learning. Now there is more support for these types of things, but we partnered with Stewart's Creek, Smyrna, Laverne. We met the faculty, which I think is really important, And we asked the faculty to come tour our facility. So that's really important. I know it seems time consuming, but it is very important to make sure that the staff and the teachers there that are going to be discussing these programs understand your business. So the faculty came on our site, they toured. We went to the schools, met the students, had an information session describing our need. At the time, it was our peak season, which lasts from about November to January. So we met with we had the teachers come on site. We went to the schools. We had the students come tour with us, so they understood distribution. A lot of the students have not worked in a distribution environment, especially a production environment. Then we, after the tour, we asked who's interested, and we onboarded and hired pretty quickly. From tour to hire, the whole process probably took about 2 weeks, but from the students coming on site and touring to hiring was about a week. So it was a quick process. Okay, next slide. So this is kind of the process I've just discussed. It is important, I believe, to get your operations involved. If you work in manufacturing or distribution, it is important to get them to come on site as well so the students can see them. That's who they're going to be reporting to. That's who's going to be managing their time, speaking with the students. So we did have operations go with us, which I think was important. We asked the students to tour. We had them complete an information session. Do get ready because there is a lot of emails and text messages. We use technology to our advantage. We sent out onboarding, did an orientation, and then hired the students. It was a pretty smooth process. Next slide. Okay, so these students we hired them for a need. We hired them for our peak season, which was November through about the end of January. And then in the spring, we kind of realized some of the students liked it, some of the students did not, and that's normal. So we met with the students and we asked them who would like to continue their employment with Ingram. We laid out the attendance standards for auxiliary associates. We already have that in place here, and the productivity standards. Sometimes it's very busy and there's a lot of training and onboarding going on during a peak season. So we laid out the productivity standards and we said, hey, do you want to stay with us? If not, if you do want to stay with us, great. You have 30, we're going to give you 30 days to get up to productivity standards and kind of slow down from that peak season. So we gave them 30 days. 2018 results, we hired 30 students. I have the breakdown listed. Of those 30, we still have 3 with us today. Next slide. Okay, so 2019, we increased our staffing. We hired 53 students. Most of them were from Laverne High School. I encourage you to utilize the convenience, especially with the gas prices the way they are right now. Utilize the schools closest to you. I do think that's key. We're very close to Laverne High School. It's easy for the students to get over after school. Okay, next slide. Pros and opportunities. So I kind of listed pros and opportunities I thought we had for us as a whole since we've been doing this since 2018. First pro, we started the program. We asked the faculty to tour. I know it, like I said, it seems time consuming, but it's very important that the teachers and the staff understand what it's going to be like for the students. We did a 30-minute information session for students at the Laverne Distribution Center. We made the hiring process quick. I think our pay was a pro, and the flexibility in schedules. So at the time, we let students pick. They had to work either a Friday or a Monday afternoon, which most of them chose Monday, which was to our benefit because that's our busiest day. And they had to pick one weekend full day shift, so 7 to 3:30, either on Saturday or Sunday. So you had to work a Friday afternoon or a Monday afternoon and one full Saturday or Sunday 7 to 3:30 shift. So that was important and that helped us. Opportunities as far as the hiring process as a whole. We recruited late. That was kind of on us. We had school meeting time. So this is an important thing to be aware of. The first time we met the students at the school in 2018, we went to the schools. We had the session at like 1 o'clock. So after lunch, a lot of the students came. So I was actually the one presenting that day, and we had 70 students or something. It was a lot. And then when they actually came to tour, it was like, 30 or 40. So I encourage you to think about the time you have to go to the school and have the information session. I recommended having it after school because you really get the students that are genuinely interested in working at your facility. Flexibility and schedule making, I think not just high schoolers, but everyone is looking for flexibility in their schedule. So the more flexibility you can provide, the better. For us, I talked through if you choose Friday afternoon, you got to stick with it. If you want to choose Monday afternoon, let's say, that helps us. That's our busiest time, so that helps our business. Because once you lock into a Friday afternoon schedule, you have to think about football games, proms, dances, all the things they're going to want to call out for. So giving them flexibility, helping them make the decisions. Another opportunity we had was multiple leaders. It's important to think about who you want to lead the high school students. Fortunately for us, we do have someone that's passionate about high school students and the youth. But at first we had multiple leaders. So there was different students had different people to call out to. Now it's one leader manages all the high schoolers, and I think that has served us well. We did not expect all the emails that we got, so be prepared for a lot of emails. I think we are getting away from call outs, people actually phoning in and saying, I won't be there today. Text messages and emails, there was a lot of it, and it helped to have one leader filter all those emails. And then your call out procedure, making sure they understand who to call or email out to. And I think that goes back to the leader. Okay, next slide. Before hiring, I recommend you talk through these questions with you and your operations leaders or your manufacturing leaders. What schedule do we need to fill? So what are we looking for? Do we need them for a short time period, like how we started during peak? What is the length of employment? Does it need to be from November to January or during the summer months? What area do you need to fill? Do we plan to keep the students after peak season? It's important to be transparent with the students and let them know your needs and what you're looking for. Some of them just want the opportunity to come in and work in a distribution environment, something different than maybe Taco Bell or Jimmy John's or some other type of or retail. A lot of the students were like, I love not having to deal with the public, unfortunately. How many students do you want to hire? That's important going in to talk to your leaders in your organization. How will students request time off? It's important to think about proms, large basketball, football games, graduations. Those are things you need to think about when you're working with the high school population. Who is the best point of contact in your organization to lead the high school students? I cannot stress this enough. This is in bold for that reason. You want to have someone who genuinely cares about the youth transitioning into the workforce. Someone who can identify and get to know the students. And it's a good way for the students to learn about other positions that are out there. For instance, we have a large gap right now in getting maintenance techs. So just to give them other ideas besides just going, just the college route is important. You want to have someone that's passionate about leading the students. There's a lot of students that we have that they don't have anyone doing that at home, unfortunately. And I think it's important that you have someone in your organization that's passionate about helping the students. What are the attendance expectations? You want to lay those out before you bring them on board, and how you hold students accountable. So really just depends. We have an auxiliary guidelines here. So we keep them in the same policies and procedures under auxiliary. Okay. Overview, it's been a great experience having the high schoolers. We've been doing this since 2018. The last 2 years have been pretty different, especially with COVID. I do feel like this year we'll go back to the high schools and have that face-to-face interaction. I think that is very important. I know it's time consuming, but it really sets you apart. The last 2 years, we have started a weekend shift where it's just 2 days, 7 to 3:30, Saturday and Sunday. So we've been staffing that way continuously. We do have 51 high school students currently with us right now. We've hired 146 students over the last 3 years, and we're currently recruiting for 2022. So kind of thinking about how to go back from pre-COVID and go back to our normal procedures with the schools and partnering with them and educating the youth on the opportunities of operations. Operations is expected to grow. Operations leaders, even human resources is expected to grow. So letting them see manufacturing, distribution, those kinds of jobs. I wanted to mention Braxton Folds. He is our newest team lead here at Ingram. He started in the program in 2018 as the packing coordinator. He was promoted in May of 2021 and recently promoted to team lead. So he has been an excellent person to have with us. And he's actually helped recruit high schoolers. When high schools come tour or students groups, we always try to highlight Braxton. He's kind of shy, but he's growing, and have him speak to the high schools. So I think that's important to show that there is a career opportunity at your organization. So really happy for Braxton. A lot of our leaders have poured into him, and I think that's really good. That's all for me. If you have any questions, hopefully I didn't talk too fast or anything, just let me know.
Thank you, Mary Beth. That was excellent. As we go, if you guys do have questions, either jot them down on a note, and we'll get to a Q&A at the end, or shoot them in the chat box. But I prefer to kind of keep them to the end, so that way we can get through each presentation, because probably your question will be answered. So anyway, we're going to make a transition to Mr. Anthony Miner, which is with WWS. Anthony and his company has been participating in this program, and he's got some great things to share with you. So Anthony, take off.
Thank you. I hope you all can hear me okay. And Mary Beth, thank you for kicking it off. I'm going to go to the next slide. So I work for Williams Wilhelmsen. I guess a little bit of history about our organization and who I am. I'm Anthony Miner, the Safety, Quality, and Sustainability Manager for WW Solutions. Been with the organization going on 11 years. Williams Wilhelmsen is one of the oldest, largest shipping organizations in the world. We're a 160-year-old shipping company that really has mastered the seas when it comes to ro-ro shipping. And in the shipping world, you got containers and you got ro-ro cargo. Ro-ro stands for roll-on, roll-off cargo. So anything with wheels and tractors are things that we ship. So 160-year-old shipping company, a little bit of timeline of some of our acquisitions and mergers over the years. One that stands out probably for us is 2006 merger. So over a couple, 100 years, or 100 years plus, they mastered the seas, and they decided they wanted to take some of their expertise inland. In 2006, Williams Wilhelmsen purchased a land-based organization that started here and developed in Middle Tennessee called DOS. And since then has continued to grow, not only with the capacity in their network on the ocean side, but have really stretched the boundaries when it comes to inland distribution. So if anyone has grown up in Middle Tennessee and have moved cars for Nissan, in the 90s, early 2000s, you may have worked, probably chances are you worked for DOS, and you moved cars for us at one point. We've just been able to take that culture and expand it and share it with the rest of the globe. Scans, the next one, one of my prominent positions and roles is really supporting the land, the ocean side. So I'm big on the vessels. My little sales pitch here is really we're innovative when it comes to shipping. This right here you'll see is our Oracle vessel, set to be launched in 2025, which is ultimately going to just revolutionize the shipping industry. Vessels, as they are very high pollutants. But once this one rolls off the production line, the shipping production line in 2025, we'll be able to reduce some of these emissions by 90% compared to most of your carriers. So it's pretty cool. If y'all ever get an opportunity to go to a port here in the US, you'll notice our vessels, they're green and gray. They look beautiful out there. They stand out. They are literally floating cities. You can fit up to 8,000 units on these pieces of equipment. So a little bit of history there. We are an integrated a supply chain partner, roll on and roll off. So what we strive to do is anything from the OEM manufacturing to the dealership and even beyond to maintenance and recyclables. We have a hand in the pot just to make sure that it gets to where it needs to go seamless. And the next slide, if you can, brings us to why we're here in Smyrna. Nissan is our largest customer, actually one of the largest customers globally. We are in the backyard of Nissan, and we have been ever since they built the plant when we were DOS. So essentially what we do here in Smyrna is we've got about 300 employees, sometimes up to 400. And we take care and possession of the units as they are rolling off the production line. So we're actually in the plant with Nissan. We're receiving the cars. We are getting them accessorized and processed and ready to make its way either to the dealership or across the ocean to be an export. Very fun, interactive job, a lot of moving parts, a lot of good learning experiences. And that's really what brought us to the work-based learning program. So we can go down to the next slide. We decided, I've been with the chamber for almost 2017 is when I started coming in and supporting and hearing about the great things that Ingram was doing with the work-based learning and high school hiring events that they had going on. We wanted a part of it. It took a little bit of work on my end to persuade the right people. We had COVID as a roadblock to get us going, but after a few years, able to talk to the right people and actually get a program in place. So we can go to the next one. So overview of our work-based learning program. We started in January 2022, so it was our first year. Our target was to hire 10 students. We got to 4. We had a lot of interest, but we were able to hire 4. Our biggest roadblock, well, I'll kind of step back. My roadblock over the years of persuading the right people to take on a program like this was to convince the powers that be that, hey, they're not just high school students, you know, that we shouldn't just look at them as high school students who can't have a job. We should, you know, open up that opportunity and move past this 18-year-old plus mindset that we had. Finally convinced the right people, and honestly with Mary Beth and Ingram's support, was able to convince the right people internally that we should go forward with this program. But as we got closer to that finish line, we've got to follow the rules within Nissan because we are within their facility. And Nissan had rules you can't hire under 18 or younger. So we started in January. Luckily, it was the second half of the senior year. We were able to get some 18-year-old students. The teachers at Smyrna High were instrumental in making this work. They knew what we wanted to do, how we wanted to achieve it, and we worked together to make it happen. So they were able to pair us up with these 4 individuals who were 18, and they were our guinea pigs. We put them through the same process. We interviewed them, brought them in here, asked them the questions, and then we put them in our operation environment. Let's see, I thought I had the timing. So I'll talk about their achievements, and I believe we got some of the structure in the next slide. But some of the achievements through the course that they worked here for that spring semester. First off, I'm a safety guy, 0 injuries to report. no near miss risk, very vigilant, conscious individuals. They knew about their surroundings and the dangers of our environment. And so very happy to complete that with 0 injuries. Quality is, again, another big one. We grade folks. We do a lot of, there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to ensuring these units are perfect before they shipped. We put a lot of expectation on the students to deliver to do near perfection, and they did it. Out of about the 2,258 units that they had processed at the time that I did this presentation, they only had four quality errors that were detected. That's a 99.93% accuracy. So well achieving the benchmark of what we're looking for, and very, very happy for that opportunity to work with them. Now, after we get after the safety and the quality, next we want to make sure that the performance is there. Hey, are they delivering? We're in the business. We just don't want to do this because it feels good and it's the right thing to do. But from a business sense, we need to cover at least our bottom line, and that was our goal, is to just break even with this group, and that was kind of our selling point. Because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know the output that we could get. We didn't know really how far we could push them as far as accessorization and training. But they were able to exceed a 93% efficiency rate. And our quick measure is we just measure the amount of hours that they work. Well, I guess the amount of hours that they earn. So for every activity that they do, divide that by the hours they work. And that was just huge. It was great because we actually had them folding in multiple directions. I think we had them trained up to 11 different activities and installs. They were kind of just our catch-all group when they came in after school. Whatever the operation was needed for that day, we put them on that task, and they were just open-minded to it. They liked the flexibility. They liked seeing multiple levels within the organization, and came away with some good a good feeling about our organization. Some other things that we tied into it wasn't just the mechanical parts of doing the hands-on, installations, learning how to show up for a job and, clock in on the right time. Besides those, we actually took some feedback that we get from some of the other chamber members, is to not just make this just a manual warm body position, but, try to bring them into your culture and your way of working. And we really capitalized on that. So when there was production downtime, we brought them in some of our supervisor training programs. So we brought them into a classroom setting at the Smyrna VPC. So we brought them in to go through, give them some introduction of what some of our supervisors and leaders go through as far as how to bring up their management skills, time management, and we're really big on lean manufacturing concepts. So got to educate them on that and also incorporate them in some Kaizen and continuous improvement projects. The next slide. Again, what was our strategy? And I got to give credit to where it's due. It's Ingram. If it wasn't for Mary Beth inviting our organization to come to her facility and talk with her management and to hear the success in person from them, would definitely have never been there, because I've been pleading the case, sharing it with upper management. And again, we don't want to hire 18-year-olds. That's not our strategy. We went in, listened to Ingram, and I will tell you almost everything that Mary Beth said is exactly how we did it. After we left that meeting with Mary Beth and her team, the HR manager, we stood there in the parking lot talking for another 20 minutes saying, this is the best idea ever. They can't believe we haven't reacted quick enough on this. We want to do this. And then we immediately just took our words into action. Just like Mary Beth said, we went to the schools, we talked to them. We definitely took her advice. Don't go after lunch, because you're gonna get the students that don't want to, that just want to skip class and go to a presentation. We went after school, coordinate with the teachers. We had about 15 students show up, all interested. That Friday of that week, we brought them to our facility with their parents and guardians in hand, just to tour the facility and show them what they're interested in. And we ended up doing that twice. We did one after school, and then we got a second opportunity to go back again Yes, they did bring us in before lunch, and they had like a collective period that we did talk to some more students, but we did leave that room and then we sat up outside their cafeteria for the 3 lunch, I think they had 3 lunch periods, but for the 3 lunch periods. And just as like college recruiting counselors, we were talking to students as they were coming by and captured some more names. It was just a great experience. And I said, if you employers want to go down this road, again, like Mary Beth said, your local schools close to you is where it'd start first. Partner with some teachers, because the teachers, if it wasn't for them, we could not have made this work. But just expect to actually show up and be present. You can't really just send a flyer and email. You physically have to be there so they can see you and talk to you and interact with you. And it worked. Like I said, we did have a lot of interest, but because of the age issue at the time, we could only hire 4. So I guess the next slide. So plans for going forward. One of the leaders in our organization, approached me about this project, and I kept using the word concept. It's a great concept. I don't know why we, it's a great concept. I don't see why we don't continue going forward. I was just kind of pleading my case, and he paused me and he's like, he goes, we moved past a concept. This is a commitment. He goes, at work, we've shown value in the productivity, the quality, safety that these students are able to deliver. There is an interest in the community to continue doing this. So our organization and our leaders have stopped using the word concept when we talk about the work-based learning concept. We're now actually calling it the work-based learning commitment because we are in it for the long haul. But our goal, again, we are actively recruiting towards the end of the school year, partnered with Smyrna again. We weren't able to go there physically. We were invited, but it's just the end of the year came up too quick in operation needs. But the teacher presented on our behalf, and she got a list of names for us. And again, that was a start as we go into the summer. But we will be right back there as soon as school starts. We've got plans to go there the first week and to start talking to students who still have the opportunity to adjust their schedules and to come in. But we hope to bring in 10 students. We have now moved past that 18 and under threshold, which is a huge accomplishment for some partnership between Nissan and us and the chamber, really just to make it happen. We found a way. So we've got a way. We're able to start hire CTE students. We will do the same process as we did last year. What we were able to do is we hired strictly CTE students. I know Mary Beth and Ingram, they hire high school students. So basically, you don't have to be in the CTE program to be a part of it. You can just really just apply and we'll hire. I'm sure there's some more restrictions on that. For us, though, you have to be a CTE student. That's our agreement with Nissan. That's how we got under that 18 window, is that if they are CTE students, there are some labor laws that they are excluded from because of the CTE program. Also with the CTE program, we're able to work with the teachers and actually adjust their schedule for the senior year. So these students were actually leaving school early, Monday through Friday. Their shift started at 2:30, Monday through Thursday, and they went till 7 o'clock. So we offered them 5-hour shift. And we gave them an opportunity to come in on Friday if they'd like. And actually most of them took that up for most of the year. On doing that, we just want to evaluate, make sure that it's still feasible, working in the right direction. We will always conclude each year with a stakeholder meeting, and that's just bringing in teachers, the chamber, Nissan, Department of Labor, and Department of Education, just to talk about pros and cons. We did it this last go around, and we feel like that's just a kind of just an annual refresher assessment of how we're doing. Once we get past 2022, 2023 school year, in the end, we hope this to be just a well-oiled machine and to expand to 20 students and hopefully expand past the Smyrna High School and to include other supporting other high schools in the area. I think that's it. Yeah, I kept it to my 10 minutes, so appreciate it. Thank you, folks.
All right, thank you so much, Anthony. So you guys have heard from two different employers that are currently participating in it. And now what we want to do is shift on to Tiffany Phillips, which is with the Rutherford County School System, and she's the work-based learning facilitator. And so now that you've heard, you can listen to her and see how you can get connected. So Tiffany, take off.
Greg, first off, I want to say a big, huge thank you to Caitlin and Essence and Greg for planning this event for us and for you guys so that you can learn about these awesome programs. I also want to say a big thank you to Mary Beth and Anthony. Mary Beth, she started out this program quite a few years ago, and she really paved the way for our employers and our schools here in Rutherford County. And Anthony, I'm so excited that you guys are going to be able to hire 17-year-olds next year. The work that Anthony has done over at WW Solutions has opened up our ability to be able to get into the Nissan facility. And so Nissan saw that it was working out in their distribution facility there at the Smyrna plant. And now Nissan will be able to start hiring students in August. So we're very excited about that. So I'm going to go through just a few myths versus facts, and I'll go through these quickly, and then I want to tell you how you can also create programs within your facilities and within your organizations, and also other ways that you can begin working with our CTE programs across the county. So fact number one, I can't work with minors. They must be at least 18 years old. We've talked about this. Whenever students are enrolled in CTE courses, and then they're enrolled in the course called Career Practicum that we have in the state of Tennessee, the department sees them as 18-year-old students. So we have some contacts with the Department of Labor as well as the Department of Education here in Tennessee, and I can help set you up with to have a consultation with them if this is a concern for your organization. I'm happy to set that meeting up, and they will come in and see your organization, see your facilities, or we can do a virtual meeting and they can talk with you about your concerns. But because of the child labor law, and Caitlin, you can go to the next slide too. There is actually an exclusion within the child labor law. Click one more time. Go back, sorry about that. It is number 11 on this screen. So this is the child labor law exemption section. Number 11 says if they're 16 or 17 years of age and they're enrolled in a course of study and training in a cooperative vocational training program under a recognized state or local education authority, or in a course of study in a substantially similar program conducted by a private school, then they are exempt from that child labor law, and the law sees them as if they are 18 years old. So this is how we are able to get students employed into organizations who typically can only hire 18 and up. So they are enrolled in work-based learning, career practicum course. And then there's a couple of forms that we fill out and everybody signs, and then you're able to keep those on file so that if the Department of Labor comes in to your organization, then your HR department will have those files on file, those forms on file, excuse me, and they're able to show those to the Department of Labor, and they're okay. And next slide. The number 2 is there's too much liability at stake for our company to work with minors. Workers' compensation protects every employee equally, regardless of age, and there is Tennessee Code annotated 50-6-102 that actually shows that this is legal. They have to protect any employee that you have, no matter what their age is. So if there is an accident on your facility, in your facility, then your workers' compensation will protect that student just like they would for an adult worker that you have. It also should not cost you any more or any less just because they are not 18 and up. And then as some of our employers have shown, our safety is actually fairly well. So Anthony, they didn't have any safety injuries. And so they were, you know, it was just a great experience for them. And those students were very cognizant of those safety procedures they had to follow within the facility. First is fact number 3. My industry or workplace is too dangerous for minors. There are only a few prohibited occupations for minors who are 16 and older, and we're going to take a look at those here in just a second, that are unrelated to your workplace or industry as a whole. In most cases, OSHA requirements ensure that you're already protecting your employees to the same extent you'd need to protect a minor. We do have a safety form that we fill out in for the career practicum course. So any training that you give to students, we record that and we keep that on file just to show that students do know the safety hazards and they know the correct procedures to follow. Those prohibited occupations are on the next slide. These are prohibited occupations for minors in the state of Tennessee. But here's the thing, if they are enrolled in a CTE course of study, so if they are in a construction program or advanced manufacturing, business, any of those CTE programs of study at our high schools that we have a hazardous occupation form that can be filled out, and then they are able to perform these jobs as well. So that's just an individual thing that we're happy to talk with you about, depending on your facility and the jobs that you have that you're wanting your students to work. Versus fact number 4, minors are prohibited from working in our jobs. These CTE programs who are taking the work-based learning career practicum course can do more than the average teenager, including working in advanced manufacturing, construction, and agriculture. And there's the TCA that is related to that fact as well. And then that required paperwork that we have will protect you as well as the school system from any legal ramifications. Minors on the floor of our facility. In reality, this is just a company policy that can be adjusted. And so if your company, if your managers, if your HR workers, employees, if they all agree that it is okay, then you are going to be legally protected as well, as we've already discussed. So this is the big question. How do you start a work-based learning program? First of all, you just need to get the necessary approval from your company's management, and we can facilitate a meeting with the Department of Labor and your legal and management teams if necessary. We did this with the Nissan organization. So we scheduled a meeting with their legal representative, as well as the Department of Labor and the Department of Education. And they were able to ask any questions that they had, as well as we provided documentation, the child labor laws, and then they were able to take that back to their organization. And now they have decided that they will accept students in August. Number 2, answer questions within your company, such as get a number of work-based learning students, pay, the application process, who will be the direct supervisor, work schedule, job duties, etc. If you are interested in starting a work-based learning program, I do have a resource that I am happy to email out to you that will work you through this process. And then, of course, plan the recruitment process that you're going to go through. Every facility, every organization looks a little bit different. And so we can sit down and talk about any questions or concerns that you have, and we can work through those problems and issues. I am happy to meet with you guys. whenever you have the ability, whenever you have it in your schedule, I'm happy to schedule a meeting for you. We can do that in person. We can do that at your facility. We can do that on Zoom, whichever way is most easy for you. And then the last slide, Caitlin. And here's my contact information. You've got my email, my cell phone, and my office number. So please take a picture of that, save that information, send me an email with any questions that you have, and I can connect you with whoever you need. I say that I'm a professional connector. So employers meet with me, and then I figure out which school they need to talk to and who the best person to talk to and schedule things with at that school. Also, I am working on scheduling some professional learning community meetings in August and September with our teachers. I want to thank Mary Beth for talking about the importance of getting in with teachers and talking with them. So if you would like to meet with teachers, I can schedule that as well. So Craig, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Tiffany. It's great information. I mentioned, we'll move quickly into Q&A. I mentioned if you had any questions to send them in the chat. I did just see one come across where it said, asking about the slides. Yes, we can share the slides today. We'll get those out to you. While anybody's typing, I think there were some pre-submitted questions. One of them was, who normally initiates the conversation to launch a work-based learning program, the school or the employer? And I think after seeing this, you guys, we're trying to share this concept with you as employers. So you saw Tiffany's information, reach out to her. We'll make sure you get that via email as well. Reach out to her and engage her, and she'll come to your, to your workplace and talk to you about it. One of the other questions that were pre-submitted, do students have to get paid in work-based learning? They do get paid. I don't know if there's any more information around that, if anybody's wanting to elaborate on the question there, but yes, they do get paid, and it's a very competitive wage.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. Most of our employers pay the same amount that they pay part-time employees or even their full-time employees. So it just depends on that employer. But the pay rate that you set is totally up to you. You have the autonomy as the employer to make that decision. Actually, this morning, Nissan just got back with me, and they are going to be paying $16.50, which their usual employees make, I think, 18, started 18, somewhere around there, but they went with the $16.50 because our students are going to be working alongside the Yates employees, and they start at $16.50. So, and they didn't want any competition going on between the two employees. So just some things to think about.
One question here was, can work-based learning continue in the summer? And I think that most employers would, they would be open to that. So when their school year ends, it's like, these great employees that's been working with them part-time could continue into the summer. I don't think there's any restrictions around that. Right, Tiffany?
They're a great question. So if the student is in one of those hazardous occupations, then right now they could not continue in the summer because they wouldn't have that exemption. They would have to be currently enrolled in the career practicum course. And currently this summer, we're not offering career practicum in the summer. That is something that we could open up to discussion for next summer. We don't have any plans yet, and so we could do that. But if your students are working in any of those other occupations that are not in the hazardous occupations, then you could definitely keep them on.
Mm-hmm. One other point along those lines is, I think with Anthony, the students came in, well, the parents of the students learned of the jobs there, and they were asking. So from a recruiting standpoint, it's another option of getting your name of your company out there to more potential future employees. Maybe the parents will take a job with you as well.
Greg, I would add, we hired 2 parents, one mother and an uncle from that. So yes.
Yeah. Awesome. I see a question in the chat. Were there any major barriers you had to overcome to launch the program? Legal, other HR stakeholders? Mary Beth. And Mary Beth, you were ahead of the curve on this thing and getting it going early. I'm not sure if.
I'm sorry, I had to unmute myself.
Oh, that's okay.
We did speak to legal. I think in the first couple of years, we just hired 17 and 18-year-olds. We do hire 16-year-olds now that we have the shift where they only work less than 20 hours a week. So we are hiring high school 16-year-olds now. But yes, we did. We got operations involved as well as our legal team here at Ingram. And another point I failed to mention was it's also a great way to get your business out there. Like I was discussing with the parents, a lot of times, applicants don't know what companies are out there. It's kind of like with us. They know they order a book from Amazon or Target, but how does it get to their front door? So really educating the community about your business is important as well.
Great. Thank you. I see a question, Tiffany. What do you cover basics in the work-based learning curriculum to prepare guide students for these opportunities?
So the students enrolled in the career practicum course are senior level students. Most of them started in a CTE pathway of study as a freshman, and all of our pathways, they all they'll start in the freshman class with communication and just general industry information and knowledge. And then they progress through the pathway to where they get very specific skills within that pathway. In the career practicum course, students learn things like communication, resumes, interviewing skills, just those general soft skills that most employers are interested in their employees having.
Okay. Thank you. We are over on time. I appreciate everybody attending. I don't see any other questions unanswered in the chat. We'll close today. I want to thank you for everybody's participation, the employers, Tiffany, for explaining this to everyone. As you're recruiting and moving forward and trying to fill all these openings in your roles, keep this in mind as another strategy to fill your roles. I know it's a great problem within Rutherford County and across the nation, actually, filling these entry-level jobs. So if there is nothing else today, thank you for attending, and we will close this session. Thanks.